Ladies and gentlemen, the following episode is scheduled for one fall. Coming down the aisle are your hosts of In The Kliq, Baby Huey and BrianTronic.
What's up, everybody? Baby Huey here, and joining me once again is my tag team partner, BrianTronic. How's it going, man?
It's going good, Huey. I feel good. We're back. We're back at it.
Yeah, man, back at it for... Yeah, I hope so. I hope you're happy. Yes, back at it for a brand new episode of In The Kliq. So much to talk about. This episode will be heavily focused on AEW because it's a busy week, man. AEW is coming to the Bay Area this week, finally making their San Francisco debut.
Finally.
So they're going to be at the Cow Palace this Wednesday, March 1st and Friday, March 3rd at the Cow Palace for AEW Dynamite and AEW Rampage, and then at the Chase Center in San Francisco this Sunday, March 5th for AEW Revolution. That's their big pay-per-view. So if you want tickets to all three shows, just go to AEWTix.com. So much to talk about, and we'll talk about Dynamite this past week and some other news. But yeah, man, no, good talking to you, Ken. It's been a busy last couple of weeks with so much going on. But I do want to applaud you and thank you for all your help for the New Japan Pro Wrestling Battle in the Valley coverage we did for that show. Not this past weekend, the weekend before. That was the big show down in San Jose at the San Jose Civic. So much fun, and a lot of people out there. It was a full house. CM Punk was in the building. Literally, he was like sitting one section over from me. And then who else was it? Giselle Shaw from Impact Wrestling. She was sitting next to me. Scott D'Amore. They were in our section. And Dave Meltzer was sat right next to me. So it was a trippy night, man. But it was a lot of fun. And but I do want to thank you for all your help. So just to pull back the curtain a little bit. So Friday night before Battle in the Valley, they had a big press conference at a hotel in San Jose. I went down there, I brought a bunch of equipment. I rushed down there after work, and I come walking in with my backpack, my recorder, my tripod, stand to hold my cell phone, all this stuff, thinking, maybe we're going to film this and do some interviews. Nope. After I checked in, they're like, yeah, unfortunately, just photos only, no video, and you can't ask questions, and there'll be no one-on-one interviews. I'm like, oh, all right. So I brought some equipment for nothing, but the main point was just to sit there, take photos, and just document it that way. So yeah, all I needed was my cell phone. So that's all it was. So, but since I was sitting there listening to the press conference, trying to listen to the answers and what they're talking about, it's streamed live on New Japan Pro Wrestling's YouTube channel, I believe. So you can watch it there if you want. But yeah, I'm taking photos. But since I'm focusing on what they're talking about, I was texting Brian you photos from each press conference or everyone that talked that night. And you did a phenomenal job posting it all on Instagram and Twitter. Thanks. So please follow us at In The Kliq on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram to see all that. And if you're listening to us, please subscribe wherever you get your podcasts at. If you're listening to us on Apple Podcasts, please give us a 5-star rating, leave a review as well. If you listen to us on YouTube, hit that subscribe button, give us a thumbs up, and leave a comment as well. But yeah, that New Japan show was a lot of fun, man. It's cool to see Mercedes Moné make her debut. Take on Kairi, and she defeated Kairi, so she's now the new IWGP Women's Champion. So exciting stuff, man. Just quick your thoughts, Brian, on that overall show, Battle in the Valley down in San Jose.
It was pretty good. It was very New Japan. So I'm extremely thankful for that. The card was good. Mercedes in-ring debut for New Japan was nothing short of excellent. I mean, it was, if anyone thought she lost a step, you're a fool, right?
Yeah.
She did really, really well. And so did many others. Everyone else who was on the card, they knocked it out. I was at home watching on Fight, and there was some technical difficulties. I think it was like, oh my God, am I even going to watch the show? I didn't know what was going on, but it looked like whatever they were going through, they waited until whatever difficulties they were having were over, and then it seemed like they started the show after that. So I was thankful they didn't just start it and leave us on like a blank a blank screen or whatever.
Yeah. I think you texted me that, and also our buddy Tim from Pro Wrestling Unlimited, he was watching. He texted me, he's like, "Hey, is everything okay? There's like there's something wrong with the feed, the broadcast feed." I was like, "No, I don't know. I don't think so. We're sitting here, but just nothing's going on." They did 2 opening matches, and then it was just quiet for like, I think 45 minutes. So it sounds like, there's some tech issues. Luckily they worked through it. But I missed the first time around. They were in San Jose back in November 2021. And from what I heard from people, it just felt like really like a house show, nothing really serious. This time around, since they made it a big deal as a big pay-per-view, it was some big matchups there. A lot of emotions and big storylines were coming through there. So overall, it was a lot of fun. I mean, the Jay White, Eddie Kingston match was full of emotions. Man, like just watching Jay White's body language when he came to the ring and he just looked around. It's like he was taking it all in, knowing that it was his last match for New Japan Pro Wrestling. So he was just really soaking it all in, looking around, interacting with the fans.
Huge stakes involved.
So it definitely, if that was not obvious enough that he was going to lose this match and put over Eddie Kingston, I don't know what is. So it was very telling what the outcome was going to be. But the match was really good. Him and Eddie Kingston had a really great match.
And I was going to say credit to Eddie Kingston too, because I don't know how many people watched the press conference or anything like that. But during the press conference, he was very energetic, very adamant about, what was going to happen. He was just like, come on, like, I'm made for this. Like he basically saying I am New Japan Pro Wrestling. Like that's who I am. Yeah. That's what I do. I'm made for this. Right. So he was calling his shot. And it made it very emotional, very, very much see. So I appreciate Eddie Kingston for doing that at the press conference and, making it that much more entertaining, because I know the stipulation they added was kind of last minute too, right?
Yeah, so it was like a 2-part. So Jay White's last 2 matches had stipulations. So the last match he had over in Japan, whereas if he lost, loser has to leave Japan. So he lost that match to what's his name? Oh my God, the guy from the Bullet Club. I'm
blanking. I forget. Whoa.
Hold on.
I'm blanking.
Hold on. I'm looking. It was Hikuleo, fellow Bullet Club member there.
Hikuleo. There we go. I was like, wait a minute, Bullet Club member. Who did he fight?
I mean, it's right. It's his dad. We all know whose dad is, and it's what's his. Let's see. We just want to look up his bio here real quick. But his brothers are the Guerrillas of Destiny, and his dad,
Haku.
Yeah, Haku. I was going to say, I was looking up something else real quick. But anyway, so Jay White lost that match. So he can't wrestle in Japan anymore. And then this match with Eddie Kingston, technically it's in America. So he was able to wrestle that one. And then that one was loser leaves New Japan Pro Wrestling completely. So, Jay White lost that. So he's completely done with New Japan Pro Wrestling for now. And, the reports are his contract's up and everything. I don't know where he's going to go next, man. AEW, WWE. I think if he goes to AEW, he might get lost in the shuffle over there. But I think in WWE, he might have a bit of a stronger impact right away, especially with Triple H doing the booking now. So I think that might be a better fit for him. And it'd be really interesting to see, man, if another former Bullet Club leader goes to WWE. That's kind of the tradition. I think Kenny Omega is the only Bullet Club leader not to go to WWE yet, which we'll touch on that in a little bit. But every other Bullet Club leader is in WWE now. So you look at, was it Cody, Finn, AJ Styles, Yeah, they're all there, man. So no, overall, like I said, it was a great match. The crowd really, just absorbed it and cheered on Jay. But then Jay White got attacked by, was it David Finlay? So yes. Finlay cut an amazing promo. Like, so is he the new leader of Bullet Club? I haven't had a chance to really look into it, what's been going on lately, but I don't know. Is that the case?
I don't know. I'm actually surprised they didn't run like a full Bullet Club, like new leader angle. I feel like this would have been a perfect opportunity to do that, but I get it. You don't want to overshadow Mercedes and everything else you had going on that show. But even like the night after, I think they had a show either the night after or the night after, like the two. I don't know if it was the night after or 2 nights after. Because usually something goes down, after a big show, whether it be Wrestle Kingdom or whatever. But yeah, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see with David Finlay. I was kind of shocked. I was like, whoa, like what's going on? Like, and then it kind of leads me to believe like, yo, Jay White's going out like that. Like, dang, like, that's crazy.
Well, you think about it, everyone who leaves Bullet Club, they got a beat down when they get kicked out. So
see, that's why I thought, okay, maybe this is going to lead to something bigger, because usually they get beat up by everybody.
yeah. Who's Adam Cole got beat down by the Bullet Club, and then that's when Marty Scurll made his debut, and I'm trying to think who else. Let's see. Yeah, AJ. It's been the norm. So, but I thought Finlay cut an amazing promo. I know he's been doing really well in New Japan, but that really seemed like a breakthrough moment for him and his character. So I'm really excited to see if he's going to be the new leader of Bullet Club. I was like, wow, he was really powerful speech there. He gave a promo that night. But who else was there? They're the big, Mercedes Moné versus Kyrie. Awesome match. The back and forth. When Mercedes did the belly suplex, and Bailey was in the house, so she was cheering her on. And Kyrie's outfit was awesome. So was Mercedes. It was just great back and forth. Mercedes picked up the victory, so she's now the new IWGP Women's Champion. And then seeing Okada and Tanahashi in person, 2 legends going at it. What'd you think about please share your thoughts on Mercedes, her match there.
Yeah, some could call me a man, Mark or whatever. I don't know, but like it was bittersweet. It's just like, man, like she wasn't done, in WWE. Like I felt like that chapter ended so abruptly. But I'm glad she's able to live her dream. I watched the documentary that she released on her YouTube channel afterwards, and you can't help but be, super happy for her and, appreciate her. This is like, I feel like her journey, her true journey starts now. She's done it all in WWE, right? And think about it. She main evented WrestleMania, right? Like me personally, I didn't think that, because she has such a weird WrestleMania record, I didn't think she was ever gonna like be the main event, right? So for her to accomplish that, and then didn't have too many matches after that, right? And then won the tag titles at WrestleMania last year, and then the walkout with Naomi. And so everything happens for a reason, I know, and everything was weird, but she looks super, super happy in New Japan now. She seeing her in the documentary walk inside the Tokyo Dome and look around, and the smile on her face, and seeing Kenny Omega backstage, and seeing the interactions and moments that she has with all the New Japan stars is really, really cool. And so I mean, she can still go, obviously. I mean, it had been a few, some months, but she definitely can still go. I know that. I'm excited to see like her mix up the style a little bit. I've always been one that says maybe that was one thing that kept Sasha back. And I'm sorry, I'm a little long-winded here, but I was glad to see her with it was Hana something. It was the girl who passed away.
Her outfit, the ring gear was inspired by.
She did, her gear was a tribute to her.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so seeing that ring gear was weird, already weird, Huey. I was like buzzing, like, wow, I'm so used to seeing her in that, the whole Sasha Banks get up, the boss, So seeing the entrance, flashy, very much Mercedes, that was cool with the dancers. Putting her body on the line, the table spot,
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, there she is. That's Mercedes, putting her body on the line. Emotion. Raw emotion in the match. It was just really cool, man. And to know that, Bayley was there cheering her on, like, that was really cool.
Yeah, it was a trip because that was the same night as Elimination Chamber. So yeah, Bayley was not in Canada and Montreal. I mean, she had no match scheduled for Elimination Chamber. So it was cool that she got the night off and was able to come back to her hometown, San Jose, and watch her best friend compete in her first New Japan Pro Wrestling match. That was very cool. And it was a great match. And seeing Mercedes hold up that IWGP Women's title looks awesome on her. And the back and forth. I mean, those girls beat the crap out of each other. It was so good. And then, the main event, like seeing Okada, Tanahashi go at it again. Like you said, two legends, just to see them in San Jose go at it. But overall, the show was really good, top to bottom. If you have a chance to watch it, definitely, make some time for it. And I love that. It was a pay-per-view, so like it had big matches on there, big matchups, and just some really good angles going into this. So it was just really cool. As you said, Bayley was in attendance. CM Punk was there over one section with our boy Lars Fredrickson from Rancid. So he was in the house, or they both were in the house. Giselle Shaw from Impact and Scott D'Amore. So Dave Meltzer. So yeah, it was just a lot of people were in attendance for this show, and they had some people from Impact Wrestling on the card. So it's cool that Impact Wrestling, who I think doesn't get enough credit as the real Forbidden Door, working with all these promotions. So they had some people on the card working with New Japan that night. So it was a lot of fun. So I'm glad I was able to attend it. And I hope they come out more. I know they're trying to, I think, revamp up their presence in North America. So hopefully this is the launch of them doing more shows here in the US and, definitely on the West Coast. So the fact that the show sold out, I mean, hopefully this is a sign they can move on up, maybe do bigger venues. I mean, this is 3,000 seat capacity. Hopefully maybe they can move on up to like a 5,000 or something. I think, I will, if I did have to critique anything, I think maybe at the press conference, I wish maybe they would have invited more press people there to attend it. And then, so I don't know, maybe it's just they just don't know who to contact, but I would love to help out or something. But encourage them to invite more press people and, do like a media scrum where people get to ask questions and stuff. Because the press conference really, they had the host and asking some questions, and then each person came out. The opponents just cut a promo on each other, and they signed the contract, and then they pose, and that was about it. So, hopefully, I think if they can make the press conference a little more interactive, that would be cool. And I'd like to see them do some more advertising, promoting here in America in the Bay Area. And hopefully, can expand their presence here. I would love to support New Japan Pro Wrestling any way I can, and would love to see them do bigger and better things here in America. I think it just makes it better for all of pro wrestling and all the wrestlers involved. So, awesome show. All right, let's jump into some clickbait news. It's been a minute since we had a chance to do that. A couple big stories coming out from this weekend. The biggest one I see a lot of people talking about in the last day or so is this report about Triple H and what his plans are for WrestleMania. So, Brian, this bit of clickbait news, and it comes from WrestlingNews.co. They're told that Triple H wants a small card this year for WrestleMania, which means that a lot of names that have been working on TV and live events throughout the year will be hanging out backstage during the show. So in prior years, there was the effort to include as many wrestlers on the card as possible, and a battle royal would be added to the card to at least give the undercard a chance to be featured on the show. We're told that this year, referring to WrestlingNews.co, that there's no battle royal plan and only a small handful of talent are being used. There are also some unhappiness about some of the slots on the show being used by legends and celebrities. So Brian, love to get your thoughts on this. This new report. One, Triple H, wants a smaller card and just using less people in general. And then some other reports like people are unhappy about this backstage and whatnot. I have my opinion about it and some takeaway, but I'd love to start with you. Your overall thoughts about this.
Yeah, good. Good. I'm very, very. That is great news in my opinion to hear that Triple H wants to make the WrestleMania card smaller. You have 2 nights, number one. So I think having 2 nights of 15 matches is a little bit much. And I feel like WrestleMania it's a spectacle. It's the biggest show, right? And so I feel like in order to perform on the biggest show, you have to earn it. You got to earn it. You have to, and not everyone deserves. Not everyone deserves to be on the WrestleMania card. Tired of these pointless battle royals, anyways, right? If there's going to be a battle royal, we want it to have stakes. We want it to mean something. We want there to be a reason why we're doing a WrestleMania battle royal, and it's for a trophy, but the trophy, it's outdated. It's played out, in my opinion. I'm so glad that and I hope that this is true. Like I hope and some people are gonna be mad, Huey, and it is what it is. Like that's a great thing if you think about it, because then the matches that are on there, they matter. Like the main, it's the main event, the championship match, the main events, right? Because I said it's 2 nights, so the main events matter. The undercards matter. Hey, as long as we get the Intercontinental and the U.S. championships back on WrestleMania where they belong, cool. We've gone too many WrestleManias without the Intercontinental Championship defended. U.S. Championship being lost in the shuffle, right? So with whatever direction Triple H wants to go in, and then with the roster and the championships, obviously, I know, this year probably going to make a lot of people mad with him wanting to make it shorter. But hey, in the long run, think about it. It's going to make these feuds and all the storytelling on weekly television leading up to WrestleMania that much better.
And I agree with you 100%. A couple things. One, I'm glad WrestleMania is broken up over 2 nights now, just because I got tired of. I was at WrestleMania 35 in New York, and I'm looking at Wikipedia here. There were 16 total matches. It was like a 7-hour day, I think, total, if I remember correctly, Brian, with the kickoff show and a bunch of matches on the kickoff show, and then the main show. And the thing was, it was just match after match after match, and it took way too long. And so I'm all for cutting it down and spreading it out over 2 nights for multiple reasons. One, here's the big thing. It's WrestleMania. It's the showcase of the immortals. It's the best of the best at that time. The best wrestlers for the company, the ones who are the most over, have the most compelling storylines, the most compelling characters. They're the ones who deserve to be on the biggest stage of the biggest show of the year. You can't just try to get everyone out there and force, everyone on the card. It just becomes too saturated, and it's almost like it's tough to focus on one thing. It just becomes oversaturated with people, and it doesn't feel as special. So this year, if that's the case, a smaller card, and that way everyone who shows up, this is a big deal. Every match is going to matter and have big stakes involved, and it's really important. So I'm all for this because, like I said, and then also less matches. The matches can go longer and tell better stories in the ring. So, like, look at Elimination Chamber. Was it last weekend? 5 matches, but it was a 3-hour pay-per-view or a little over 3 hours. Each match was able to go a little bit longer, and then granted, I know there is with Peacock and stuff, there's like more downtime in between matches because they got the commercials and other stuff they do now because the Peacock stream.
All those commercials and ads. Miz.
So that is one issue. I think, or if you think about it, if you take away those commercials and those ads, a 5-match pay-per-view would be a lot shorter. But But then again, I know like when you and I were at WrestleMania, I kind of like that downtime in between because it gives you time to kind of collect yourself, do some tweeting, check social media, collect yourself and breathe, and then get ready for the next match. I do like that downtime a little bit, like that 5-minute window in between matches or however long the downtime is before they start the next set of entrances and stuff. So, and then you look at TakeOver back in the day. Triple H used to do takeovers, which is 5 matches that would go at 2.5, 3 hours. But like the matches would go longer. You look at like some of the older WrestleManias where they have, 15, 16 matches. There's a lot of short matches here, less than 10 minutes long. So I feel kind of bad. Like they're trying to get as many people on, but they're doing short matches. And it's almost like it feels like a waste of time or, why put them out there if they can't do a full blown match to show their skills and tell a good story in the ring? So I'm all for less matches. That way each match is more important. They could tell better, longer stories in the ring. And, and I feel like that's the whole point. It's like, it's WrestleMania, the best of the best. If you're not happy with your place on the card, then, you got to work harder, get yourself over, find new characters, come up with new creative to get yourself over. So then by next WrestleMania, you'll be on the card. I think Triple H is maybe trying to motivate the roster. Be like, okay, if you're not on WrestleMania this year, you got to earn it. Go out there every week on TV, Raw or SmackDown or the B-level pay-per-views. Get yourself over so that way this time next year, you'll be on the card. And God, how many years? Remember how many years in a row were like what the tag matches were like fatal 4-way? So you got like 8 guys in the ring, and how many other matches they made a triple threat or fatal 4-ways? And I think sometimes that might be cool if the story calls for it. Like maybe there's multiple opponents for the champion. But I think sometimes I like a traditional one-on-one match or a tag team versus a tag team. It's just more compelling of story. But if you add way too many people, then it gets really convoluted. So that's another thing too. I just remember like for years, they would get way too many people per match. And it's like, no, give me a one-on-one match. So,
even the Intercontinental Championship, like when it is on the WrestleMania card, it's usually like a multi-man match. And I just feel like, not every time is it like appropriate or even deserving for 6 guys to get an opportunity at the Intercontinental Championship, like, and then we all want better stories leading up to it. And so it's much easier to tell a story with 2, maybe even 3 guys versus having to just throw 6 guys together in this match just for the heck of it and say, hey, this is your multi-man traditional ladder match for the Intercontinental title at WrestleMania, so that's one of the things I'm most excited about is even the buildup is going to be a lot smoother and a lot easier now because that people who worked their butts off to get to this point, they're going to give it their all and they're going to go 110%.
Yeah, that's the thing too. Like I'm looking at WrestleMania 34. That's a good example as far as there was a fatal 4-way for the U.S. title. It was Jinder Mahal against Randy Orton, Bobby Roode, and Rusev. And then you had a triple threat tag match for the SmackDown titles. You had the Bludgeon Brothers versus the Usos versus the New Day. So on top of the Women's Battle Royal, the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, you saw there was a lot of matches where it was like multi-tag or adding so many people on the card, and it gets like just really flooded with all these bodies on the show, and it's like no one really gets to stand out because everyone's there. And so, I mean, granted, I know it sucks. I know it sucks if you're not on the main show. I feel bad for anyone that's upset who's worked their ass off. But then again, some of the celebs they're bringing in, like a Logan Paul, I mean, that's against Seth Rollins, so that's going to be a big, hopefully bring some more eyeballs to the product by way of Logan Paul's presence. And then some of the legends, I know, for example, like, John Cena is probably going to come back for a match. I mean, you need a couple of those people to kind of help sell tickets, get more attention to the product as well. So I know it's not a perfect situation. I do feel bad for anyone who's upset, but like I said, it's the best of the best. If you're not in the equation, then figure out what you need to do to be part of the equation this time next year. So I don't know. I like I said, I want the best for everyone, but yeah, you can't make everyone better. If anything, maybe if they do the Battle Royal, maybe do the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal on night 1 and do the Women's Battle Royal on night 2. But do it on the kickoff show. I know with Triple H under his time so far, they haven't done any kickoff matches anymore.
Nope.
But maybe they could do that for WrestleMania, because I'm guessing they're probably going to do a 2-hour kickoff show. It's probably going to be a lot of talking, a lot of video packages replaying. But maybe do a couple matches there just to help fill the time and break it up a little bit. So I'm all for Battle Royals on the kickoff show at least. And maybe that helps kind of make some people happy.
Yeah, I was gonna say this whole situation. I mean, you can even look at like NBA, for example, right? Like you playing in the NBA finals. There's I forget how many minutes, like 15, 17, 16, 17 men, right? But not everybody play. I think 15, but not every person plays in the NBA finals. You got to earn your way on that court, especially in the finals, whether that's great defense, great offense, size, whatever. You have to earn your spot onto the court. Yeah, you win. Everyone wins, right? But if you want to play in the NBA finals or in the playoffs, let alone, you've got to do something to impact, to make people go, you know what? He deserves an opportunity to start or to get some minutes here on the floor. So I feel the same way about WWE and just wrestling in general. Like, to wrestle at the biggest shows, you've got to earn your way.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. Like, the basketball is a great analogy. Like, I used to coach or play and coach. And that's the thing. Like, normally you would have like 12 guys on your team or 12 people on your team. But usually, you don't play like everyone. You usually play like your best 8. You have your starting 5 and you have like your best 3 people coming off the bench. So, and I know sometimes some coaches will like to play maybe 10 guys or 12 guys. But, sometimes if you're not winning or things are going well, you got to cut your bench down and just focus on like the 8 best players. So with that being said, there's like 4 people who are not getting as much playing time. And so, their job is to, be the hype people on the bench and, be extra set of eyes and voices on the bench. But it's a great analogy. Like, in sports, in basketball, it's like, okay, if you're the 12th person on the bench, aka like a mid-carder in WWE, what do you got to do to be in the top 8 or in the starting 5 next year? You got to put the work in. So hopefully, this motivates some people who are maybe a little upset that they're not going to be featured this year. So, and then again, maybe I'll give more emphasis to, Friday Night SmackDown, that go home episode at WrestleMania. I know under Vince, they call it the last couple of years, like WrestleMania edition of Friday Night SmackDown. So maybe they'll have some big matches there.
WrestleMania
SmackDown. Exactly. I know originally I thought the New Day were going to stay in NXT through WrestleMania and drop the titles at Stand and Deliver, but they were dropped the titles at Vengeance Day. So they're back on SmackDown already. So I don't know. But at this moment, they don't have anything lined up for WrestleMania unless they do something with LA Knight, which we kind of saw on SmackDown this past week. But I don't like New Day is an example of maybe a couple of guys who might be on the outside looking in. So I don't know. Can't make everyone happy, but I'm all for it. Give us like, for WrestleMania, keep it under keep it 3.5 hours each night. If you can give us like maybe 6-7 quality matches each night, and then combine over 2 nights, you have 12 to 14 matches still. I don't know. We'll see how it plays out. So I was actually trying to look ahead to WrestleMania. So I'm looking at Wikipedia right now, and the card, they only got 3 matches so far. Roman Reigns versus Cody Rhodes, Charlotte Flair versus Rhea Ripley, Bianca Belair versus Asuka, and I was trying to multitask. I'm watching Raw right now streaming. It looks like it's official. Brock Lesnar versus Omos. Is that really going to happen?
I guess so, man.
We'll see. That's tentatively right now. So that's 4 matches right there. I anticipate we'll get a tag match between Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn versus the Usos. So that'll be 5. Logan Paul and Seth Rollins. That'll be 6. Austin Theory versus John Cena. Hypothetically, that's 7. Gunther was the rumor is Drew McIntyre and Sheamus. You know, Drew McIntyre was eyeballing Imperium's match last week on SmackDown. So that's 8 right there. Who am I missing? Let's see. All the titles, tag titles,
women's tag.
Women's tag. So maybe Ronda, Shayna versus whoever the champs are at that point, either Damage Control or Lita and Becky Lynch. I don't want to date myself, but that match is happening tonight. So I don't want to, by the time you listen to us, we might have new tag champions. Who knows? So just I'm giving that disclaimer. So that's 9 right there. So, you know, let's see if you get one more, that's 5 per night. Who am I missing? You know, I know it's Stone Cold was rumored to do something at WrestleMania. Let's see, main title, both women's titles, women's tag titles, men's tag titles, IC, US title. I feel like I'm missing one more. Oh, maybe Bray Wyatt, something with Bray Wyatt.
Right. Yeah.
So that's 10 right there. LA Knight. So, you know, right there, you got potentially 10 matches there. Nothing official yet, but you can see that card really fills up pretty quickly there. So I don't know. We'll see what happens next.
It does.
All right. Another bit of clickbait news is Kenny Omega. Word is coming out that he's open-minded to go to WWE. So there's been a lot of talk about his future. So I think early reports were his contract was, Brian, can you confirm, was supposed to expire in February? Is that what it was? Was that the original plan?
Yep.
Okay.
I believe so,
They added time on because of the 9 months he was out injured. So now it looks like his contract is now
November.
at the end of this November this year. So what's next for him? Actually, here, look, it said contract's supposed to expire late January. That's what Dave Meltzer originally reported.
Okay.
But during a PW Torch audio show, Wade Keller talked about Omega's potential WWE move. He said, quote, "I have independently verified rumors of WWE being interested in Omega. I have confirmed they're aware of Omega's open-mindedness to come to WWE. That's why I've been told that he's open-minded to landing in WWE before his career is over. The attitude is not, I love WWE, I'm going to stay here forever. That is not apparently the belief within WWE. They don't believe that Kenny's mindset at this point," in the quote from Wade Keller. So it's kind of interesting, man. Let's see here. Wade Keller also added, quote, "Omega's value within WWE from what I've can ascertain by people whose opinions count, but he's not seen at this stage as a wrestler who is so good in the ring that they're just going to do anything to get him. I think that they're very happy with their roster. I think they have a lot of great wrestlers who are at Kenny's level. Kenny would be a great addition. I know there is curiosity and intrigue about what he could do with him if they're able to direct him a little bit better because of his character work in 3+ years of Dynamite has not been particularly compelling," in the quote. So, Brian, turn to you, man. What are your thoughts on Kenny Omega potentially signing with WWE? Do you want him to sign there? Do you want him to stay in AEW? What is kind of your head at right now with this news of where can Kenny go once his contract's up later this year?
You know, I feel like if Kenny leaves AEW, then that's going to leave AEW in pretty bad shape, only because like they already lost Cody, right? But I think Cody definitely fits the WWE system much better than, you know, he fit in AEW, right? But Kenny Omega is a guy who I feel like fits AEW more, but unfortunately, I agree. Like he hasn't really meshed well, though. Like a superstar that I guess we all want him to be. I mean that with all respect, right? Like I'm not saying he's not great. Kenny Omega's great. He's fantastic in Japan, I think. But I think in AEW, and maybe it's just the way he's been booked and the way things have happened, right? Like, I know he's one hell of a wrestler, but you know, him being world champion too, like, you know, that whole thing, you know, the belt collector and stuff, that was some good stuff. But I felt like a lot of it was just, you know, okay, Kenny Omega's a champ. Cool. I don't know. That's just me. I feel like in WWE, he would really have to really tap in to that character work, right? And I know he can do it because he was doing a lot of character stuff in New Japan, you know, when he was the cleaner, you know, Bullet Club stuff. I felt like he did a lot of great stuff back then as the leader of the Bullet Club. But, you know, him coming to WWE as is, like Cody did, I don't know if it would have that much of an impact. He probably would come in, be a great surprise, huge pop, have a hell of a match with whoever, you know, anyone, right? And then it would just be like, I don't know if he'll be able to keep up with being on Monday Night Raw or SmackDown, right? We don't see Kenny Omega in too many backstage segments on Dynamite or Rampage or any, like no interviews or anything like that. No in-ring promos. Just go out there and wrestle. You know, spectacular entrance with the Young Bucks. Go out there, wrestle, put on a good show, and win and defend titles. That's it. You know, can he sell a WrestleMania? Can Kenny Omega really go out there and, you know, cut a promo? Can he get in there with Paul Heyman, right, and cut a great promo? I don't know. I would love to see it though.
Yeah. So I don't know. Okay, with Kenny Omega, I think one, it's interesting, this quote from Wade Keller, that from what he heard, that, you know, WWE is very happy with their roster, and that WWE thinks they have a lot of great wrestlers who are at Kenny's level. I mean, the only I can think of is maybe Seth Rollins. Yeah. I mean, let's be. I do want to give credit to Kenny Omega. He's arguably one of, if not the best wrestler in the world right now. So
that would be a great way to bring him in if Seth Rollins somehow gets his hands on a championship, right, within the next year or two. Boom, there you go. Bring him in, have him. That would be a great way to introduce Kenny Omega to the WWE universe and have him still be able, like, put him in a position to where he can go out there and have those type of matches, those hard hitting, strong style, you know, type matches.
Yeah. So there's a couple things. So yeah, like Kenny is one of the best. So if he comes in, he's going to add a lot of credibility to the performance, out there. But also it's, man, there's so much to talk about with this, as far as, one, if he does leave AEW, that would be a big blow to AEW, as far as another member of the Elite leaving, Cody being the first, which I don't know if Cody's necessarily an official member of the Elite, but, you know, he was buddies with all of them originally, going back to New Japan, Ring of Honor. So for him to leave, that would be a big blow to AEW. And then I'm sure the Young Bucks would consider jumping ship to follow their buddy. So if all three of the Elite eventually leave, man, that would be really tough for AEW to continue on. I mean, the roster is very in depth. It is very deep right now. So I'm sure they'll be fine. And, you know, those couple months they were suspended for end of last year, AEW seemed to be okay for the most part. I mean, that's subjective, how people thought Dynamite Rampage went at that time without their presence. I think when the Elite are present on AEW, I think it's better. I think overall the show is better. Oh yeah. But the other thing too, keep in mind, is what if AEW brings back CM Punk? I don't know if the Elite might be cool with that idea. So they might be like, all right, you're bringing him back. All right, we're definitely leaving now. I mean, that could be a deal breaker for them as well. Right. And for Kenny Omega, he's going to be 40 this year. So maybe he's thinking, I would like to get one big payday, one big salary from WWE to kind of financially set myself up long term as I'm nearing towards the end of my career for retirement. Maybe that's the mindset. You look at like someone like Shinsuke Nakamura. He told these amazing matches, or had these amazing matches in New Japan. Then when he came to WWE, it was just more like getting that big money for this. I think for a lot of people, like they go all out their first half of the career, and the second half of the career, they try to get those big contracts to.
It's been like a vacation for Shinsuke.
Yes, where's he been lately? That's the other thing too. But that's my thing. It's like I think with Kenny Omega, I wouldn't be surprised. Maybe he's like, maybe let me just get a payday, and I can set myself up financially for years to come, just for that security. So I don't know what he wants. Does he want to help AEW stay strong as a second the second biggest promotion in the US? Is that where his heart is? Or is he kind of just over it? He just wants to get a good payday? Or I don't know. It'd be interesting. It'd be great to see some of the matchups he would have in WWE, fresh opponents. And, for him, maybe it'd be cool to see him wrestle at a WrestleMania one day, if that's possible. I don't know, man. Yeah. It's really interesting time right now, where his head at with all that. But, if he does leave AEW, that'll be a huge blow to AEW and how they would bounce back from that. I don't know, man. It's going to be really interesting what's going to happen into this year with Kenny's future, the Young Bucks' future, AEW as a whole, all that stuff. But I'm sure WWE would love to get him like another big piece of the pie away from the competition. And, for WWE, it's their mindset be like, it's the strategic move to help take out AEW. So I don't know, man.
And think about it. Even, if, the Jay White sweepstakes, I know we'll get more into that. Who knows where he'll end up. And then you got Styles and the Good Brothers, and you got Cody, and you already got a, handful of people that Kenny's already familiar with. Right. So, that'd be some good stuff to have him come over.
Yeah. So it'd be interesting to see what he wants to do. Then again, remember when he was a champion and as a heel, you had that kind of over the top flamboyant character work with Don Callis. You can make the argument that was very sports entertainment like with the fancy jackets and the shoes he was wearing and kind of over top persona character he had. That was very sports entertainment based, but I would love to see where he could go character wise in WWE if he had some more direction as far as writers and a Triple H led creative team. I would love to see how they would handle Kenny Omega, the character. We know he can wrestle, but I would love to see more character work out of him. And, WWE could be the great source for that. But also, I'd be curious to see how much WWE wants to invest in him. Like I said, he's going to be 40. He has so much wear and tear on his body, too. So that is, he sat out 9 months last year due to injuries. So for him to come at 40, hopefully, he can handle a WWE schedule at that point in his age and the wear and tear on his body. So who knows, man? It's going to be interesting nonetheless. All right, let's go ahead, Brian, jump into this week's episode of AEW Dynamite. It's been a minute since we have to talk about AEW. So here we are. As I mentioned at the top of the show, it's an exciting week for us here in the Bay Area. AEW finally making their San Francisco debut. They're going to be at the Cow Palace Wednesday, March 1st for AEW Dynamite, Friday, March 3rd for AEW Rampage, Sunday, March 5th for AEW Revolution. That's going to be at the Chase Center, AEWTix.com for tickets and more info. It's interesting. Like, I guess my first question to you is, what are your thoughts so far on the build for Revolution up until this point? Because here we are. This is the go home week for AEW Revolution between Dynamite and Rampage. It's been interesting dialogue online and following other podcasters and YouTubers. But I'm just kind of curious where your head at as far as your thoughts on this kind of the build the last couple of weeks, and how are you feeling about this this week leading up to Revolution?
I feel like it's been kind of all over the place. Right. I think the one thing that they've been really, really consistent about is MJF and Bryan Danielson for the AEW championship. The tag team championship situation, I feel like, is a little overbooked and overdone. I feel like it was right there in their hands to maybe run back acclaimed and the Guns for the titles. I felt like it was right there, but then overdo it and have these different battle royals and add in 2 more teams, I feel like is too much. The women's division in AEW. I feel like they're still trying to like plant their feet and be like, this is us, right? Have an identity. Yeah. They're still scratching and clawing to find that identity. And with that, you know, you've got a lot of randomness going on, and you know, Saraya and Tony Storm, and this, I don't know if they've said it on TV, but this, whether it's rumored or not, this outsiders versus insiders whole gig that they've got going on here. And I don't know if they're wishful thinking for, I think the whole mess with the women's division started with the Mercedes Moné thing. Allegedly, like, you know, people tricking themselves into thinking that she was going to show up in LA at the AEW show. I think ever since then, you know, they've scrambled to try and find interest in the women, right? And then I think Jade Cargill with the TBS championship, she's beating everybody, right? And her matches are seeming more and more less important. You know, each win now as she goes, it's just like, all right, she's racking up another one. You know, who cares? And that's no knock on Jade. Jade's fantastic, you know, and I think she's been doing some really, really crazy stuff lately that's really made me personally be like, yo, okay, Jade is learning. Like, Jade is still too late, in my opinion. And now it's just like, people are wanting someone to beat her now, just waiting for someone to beat her. And I know that, you know, people are talking Chris Statlander and all that. I don't know. But yeah, like this, it's just, I don't know, man. And then the trios championship, right? Like that whole scene and you know, picture, you know, the House of Black and the lack thereof build, right? And I know that there's been moments on Dynamite where they could have used to try and sell us that match, but you know, they didn't. They kind of just said, here you go, this is what's going to happen. I feel like what happens a lot, Huey, with the AEW and the booking, some talk or conversations will start online, and then Tony and his team or whoever works with him in regards to booking the show, they'll just see what happens and what people are talking about online, and then boom, they'll make it happen. They'll put it on TV. They'll say, oh, this is what they're talking. They're thinking House of Black and the Elite for the titles. All right, that's what we're doing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's
and for a while, I feel like they've gotten away with that. Like, just, all right, we're not really going to build to this. This is just guys that can really wrestle and go, cool, let's put them in a match, and it's the Elite are going to have a crazy trios match, right? But I just wish I cared about it a little bit more. I don't really care. I mean, I feel like no one really cares who wins at this point.
Yeah, no, I think for me lately, AEW, it seems like it's
just something for somebody to do.
Yeah, I feel like lately it's a lot of matches being thrown together last minute. We'll kind of go through it. I'll share more of my thoughts in depth, but I feel like lately they've been really lacking some compelling storylines. Character, I mean, they have amazing matches. Don't get me wrong, some great in-ring work from members of the roster, but I'm not getting enough character work and not getting enough like storylines to get me invested to tune in for these matches and care. And a lot of stuff's being thrown together, and I was like, I want to see more. I want to have, you know, storylines, and like some of the stuff is just, they're just kind of thrown together and like, oh, here's your matches at Revolution. And I was like, I wish they would have done a better job building up some of this stuff. And it's just tough right now. So I don't know how to go about repairing that, fixing that. It's, yeah, you know, I feel like sometimes they'll start a story and then they'll kind of drop it after a couple weeks and you're not getting a proper conclusion, or there'll be certain story beats that don't make sense. And I feel like they changed their mind on something. And so I feel like the build for this Revolution is just not as good compared to the build last year. You know, last year it's CM Punk and MJF and all this other storylines leading up to last year's Revolution. I feel like this year it's just not, it's been not as good in some ways. Now, granted, I think like the Bryan Danielson MJF stuff's been pretty good. even though we've seen MJF do for like the fourth time do like a gauntlet or some sort of challenge for his opponent to go through. If they beat that challenge, then he gets to wrestle them. He's done that before. He did it with Cody. He did it. He did it. Was it with Jericho?
Yep.
So I just, we've seen this before, and like the Ricky Starks, Chris Jericho stuff, that's which we'll talk into. So actually, let's go ahead and just jump right into it at this point. So, the opening match here, we saw Orange Cassidy versus Wheeler Yuta. So Orange Cassidy is the AEW All-Atlantic champion, taking on ROH Pure champion Wheeler Yuta. Fun opening match. It was great. I mean, the big story here was Wheeler Yuta is taking on his former bud from the Best Friends faction when he was in there. But Claudio came out, kind of smacked some sense into him. Was like, don't hug him. You're a fighter. You're a killer. Go out there and beat his ass. But unfortunately, Orange Cassidy picked up the win. And Orange Cassidy was still trying to get the hug from from Wheeler Yuta, but then Claudio came out and yanked him out of the ring. So, I don't know, what'd you think here of this whole like almost a best friends type reunion? But no, Claudio had to knock some sense into Wheeler. It's like, hey, you remember the Blackpool Combat Club?
Yeah, it was good. I really. Everyone's been buzzing about Orange Cassidy and acknowledge it. And I agree, but I feel like it's AEW's fault again for not really plastering it and showcasing it in the way that they should. Orange Cassidy is a hell of a wrestler, and he's done a hell of a job so far. Excuse me, putting on banger matches for the All-Atlantic Championship. It's just, I mean, there's so much going on in AEW and on Dynamite and Rampage. In my opinion, they're really, really strong, fantastic wrestler, right? And who can really go. And so putting those two in a match together is great. Having the Claudio, like you say, knock some sense into Yuta and just be like, hey, like, come on, get your head right, right? I like that. Yeah. I want to see more though of both guys, right? I don't have these titles, right? Like, for example, like Will Yuta, like I want him to matter when he loses the Ring of Honor Pure Championship. I want Orange Cassidy to matter and have great matches when he's not all Atlantic champion. So, it was a good match though. I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Probably the best match.
Yeah. Okay. Well, Brian, your audio is cutting out just a little bit. Can you hear me right now?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Okay, cool. Yeah. Okay, we're back at it. Okay, so moving on. So we saw the Acclaim taking on the Firm's Big Bill and Lee Moriarty with Stokely Hathaway. I love the Acclaim's rap here, just calling out members of the Firm. That was awesome. I have a chance to talk about this, man. Your thoughts on the Gun Club taking the titles off the Acclaim a couple weeks ago. That was a big shocking moment that a lot of people were upset to see. I have a feeling though it's just going to be a short title reign and the Acclaim's going to win it back at Revolution. But yeah, before we talk about this match here, what'd you think of just the Acclaim losing the tag titles recently?
I have no issues with
yeah, I think it was like for shocked factor at that point.
Yeah, for sure. And I know a lot of people were very, very mad, and I'm just like, sometimes you need that in wrestling. You need, like you said, that shock factor. You need the unexpected, right? Like I literally said it like the week before. I was like, oh, the Guns are gonna be the new AEW World Tag Team Champions. Like, and they did it. So, sometimes and the Acclaim, I feel like they need a little bump. They need a little kick in the butt, right? This should make the Acclaim more sharp. Say if they want him back, it needs a little bump, and the Guns can do that.
So yeah, no, my only concern is because of that they won the titles and everyone thinks The Acclaim's going to win them right back. It makes the tag title match at Revolution very predictable. That's my only concern with that. But the match here, now, like I said, another example of like a storyline that kind of starts and then just disappears is like the Firm. They were like this hired gun that MJF had to help him, ultimately get the world title. And I thought this might be his new faction, but then he kind of changed up, said, I'm going to have these guys on retainer. And then they all just kind of disappear. Like Ethan Page kind of goes on his own route. Now it's just really Big Bill and Lee Moriarty. I mean, it's just kind of like the Firm. I felt like this faction could have been like a really cool story beat about them existing in AEW and what their plans are. But it kind of has just fallen to the sideline a little bit. And it's just like where they're going with all this, especially we got Stokely Hathaway. He's one of the best talkers and just personalities in all of wrestling right now. I just felt like this was going to be like a cool faction, them kind of going on a tear, beating up everyone. Yeah. But no, they just kind of,
that's unfortunate.
The story, once they broke off from MJF, they kind of, just fizzled out a little bit. So, but ultimately, The Acclaim picks up the victory, and they will be a part of the tag match at Revolution that weekend or next weekend. We see Shivani trying to talk to Christian Cage. Ultimately gets attacked by Jungle Boy. But then Jungle Boy got beat up by Christian Cage. He stalled too long with the concerto, and then Christian Cage hit him back with the chair. So I'm guessing this is going to lead to a match at Revolution between the two of them. Kind of a make good, because weren't they originally supposed to fight at Full Gear last year? But remember, Christian got hurt, so it just turned into a really short match. So this is something I think a lot of people were like, it's like, oh yeah, the guys have this rivalry because it's like almost four months ago. So it's like, I know they're trying to dip back into this storyline here, but it's like, it's something they're just kind of throwing together last minute. Now, granted, I know Christian's been injured, so he's just he probably just recently got cleared to wrestle again. But it's an example of like, maybe I wish they kind of done a little bit more building to this moment. I know Jungle Boy was busy with Hook for a while, but you get what I'm saying? It's like, I feel like they're just, oh yeah, by the way, Christian's back and just picking up that feud from 4 months ago. I was like, we got short-term memory. Can you help like build it up a little bit better? Especially 1 week prior to the pay-per-view.
Jungle Boy was kind of falling between the cracks in AEW. Aside from the stuff he was doing with Hook, Jungle Hook or whatever. It would have been nice to kind of, before they just go boom, all right, Christian and Jungle Boy, right? Maybe build Jungle Boy up and have him, have a few matches on Dynamite or Rampage. Kind of just make it mean something, make it important. I just it just feels like it's like, all right, we're ready. Take the, it's like they have a board, right? And it's like, all right, well, here's the injured reserve list. Okay, he's done. All right, let's put him back. Put him back with Jungle Boy now. Boom, he's ready. Yeah. So another match was Sky Blue versus Saraya. Excuse me. This match, for Saraya, she picks up the victory here. Just kind of gives her some momentum leading to the women's match. So it looks like it's going to be a triple threat match for Jamie Hayter's AEW Women's Championship against Saraya and Ruby Soho. I was like, I wanted to get your thoughts on the build for this, or just kind of the state of the women's division right now and how they've been leading up to this match. So, Jamie Hayter versus Saraya, Ruby Soho. It's a two-part question here. What do you think about just the way the women's division has been going? Saraya and Toni Storm, the heel tag team, they're being presented as like the outsiders, like former WWE people who are in AEW. They're trying to create this presence that they're better than everyone there from like the day oneers who've been in AEW the whole time. Like they're trying to recruit Ruby Soho because she also came from WWE. But like Ruby is like, doesn't care because her main focus is going after Jamie Hayter in the world title. And Jamie Hayter, though, is like, Ruby, are you with us? Because like you've been here for a while now. Like I would think you maybe you're more loyal to AEW at this point. So it's a weird like triangle right now between
it looks like Saraya and Toni Storm are trying to recruit any former WWE members of the women's roster. Ruby Soho is like stuck in the middle. It's like, no, I just want the world title. And Jamie Hayter's like, well, Ruby, are you with us or against us? So it's really interesting here. It's a little convoluted. I don't know. What do you think about how this is going so far?
Yeah, it's too much. It's too much. I think the Outsiders thing the Outsiders thing would have been a good idea if they didn't use the spray paint cans and stuff like that, and if they just focused on putting a beat down on the women's roster. And I felt like they fell short with that too, because they're not necessarily doing that either. I mean, they're beating up on Britt, and they're trying to get Ruby involved, and they're keeping it very minimal with who they attack and who they go after. It would have been nice to see them kind of just go after the entire roster. I think a lot of the viewers, especially those who were excited to have Saraya, right?
Saraya.
Saraya. Yeah.
Saraya.
To have her back, I always get mixed up. It's very difficult, but but to have her back, and to be obviously giving her input on the direction of this women's division, for her, for them to run a story like where her and Tony are just beating up girls backstage every week, that would be fun, And then now I'm confused, like, Saraya gets the championship opportunity, but what about Tony? What does Tony get? Right? Yeah. Like, is Tony just doing whatever Saraya says and just kind of just like whatever? Like, doesn't Tony want the gold back? Like, if I'm not mistaken, didn't Jamie Hayter beat Toni Storm for the championship?
Yeah, because she got it. She was interim champion. I
feel like there's more story there in that direction, and I don't know. I just feel like it's all put together so sloppy.
Yeah, I feel like the reason where they're going with this is Saraya. One, they're using the green spray paint, so obviously it reminds people of the NWO and Hall and Nash.
Yeah.
But like, was it last week when they had the green spray paint and Saraya sprayed on Toni Storm's butt, and then she went into Britt Baker's face with it? I was like, why are you spray painting yourself and damaging your own clothes? Shouldn't you spray paint the opponent, the person you're attacking, and then do your move on them? Like, I felt like just common sense is like, you're damaging your own ring gear with that spray paint. Like, damage the opponent, the person you hate and you're trying to beat up.
That was bizarre, man.
Yeah. So I have a feeling, and I know maybe we do predictions later on this week, but I feel like Ruby Soho, she's added to the match to ultimately eat the pin. That way Saraya stays strong and doesn't eat a pin in her time so far with AEW.
Yep.
I think Jamie Hayter is going to retain. I think what I'm hopeful for is, if they kind of clean up this story a little bit and get some focus, I think ultimately this could lead to a women's blood and guts match. I think if they do this right, that could be something they could do, because they have plenty of former WWE women superstars in AEW, so you can easily add to Saraya and Toni Storm's faction or group. They get Athena, obviously in ROH, she's kind of been a heel.
I'm surprised she hasn't been inserted in this in some capacity, right? I know she's the Ring of Honor Women's Champ, but I mean, man, or even Mercedes Martinez, right? Like,
yeah, exactly.
She's a woman. If anybody should be upset or have a chip on their shoulder or whatever, it should be Mercedes, right? So
yeah,
I feel like she'd be some great muscle for Saraya.
And usually you do 5 for blood and guts. So I'm trying to think who's a fifth like former WWE person in AEW that they can add to the group. So let's say it's Mercedes, Athena, Saraya, Toni Storm. That's 4 right there. Maybe they just keep it 4. And then you have like the OGs, AEW original. So yeah, Britt Baker, Jamie Hayter, and then you could easily add maybe Chris Statland. I mean, there's so many options. I think this is a perfect opportunity to bring in Jade Cargill into the equation, give her something to do. She's not doing anything right now. And maybe Jade, since she's TBS. Thunder Rosa too. They can bring Thunder Rosa. Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say, and like I said, Jade's beat, most if not all of the undercard in the women's division.
Mm-hmm.
Bring her up. Yeah, I know she's TBS champion, but bring her up. Kind of put her in there with those stars. Because if you want her to be a star, you got to treat her like one, and she's got to be amongst all the other stars, right? The marquee women that they put up there.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like that's like when they had when the Universal and the WWE championships were split. It was clear, in the Vince McMahon era that the Universal Championship was more important than the WWE Championship, right? And it's just like, come on, like. They both matter. If anything, the WWE Championship should matter more. So I feel like having Jade side with Britt Baker and them, and kind of just adding to that would be big.
Yeah,
I huge.
I think Tay Conti or Tay Guevara.
Yeah,
she was former in WWE. Technically, Tay Mello. Excuse me.
Yep.
You add her, and that's 5 right there. And then, you for the AEW originals, you got Jamie Hayter, Britt Baker. I think for Muscle to compete with Mercedes, you bring in Jade Cargill, and maybe Jade's like, I'm only working with you guys. Like Jamie, after we're done with this, you give me a title shot, and you do champion versus champion at some point. So I'm trying to think some other AEW originals. Yeah, Thunder Rosa. She likes to bleed as well. So, I mean, there's plenty of opponents. I think you can make.
What happened to Hikaru Shida?
Oh, shit. Yeah, there you go. Shida.
Yeah.
Boom. That's another example of someone who's like in a story and kind of disappears. But you could easily do, you could do Jamie Hayter, Britt Baker, Jade Cargill, Shida, and Thunder Rosa. Yeah. That would be a badass 5-woman team going up against these former WWE superstars. So I think that could lead to a perfect blood and guts match. And then from there, have some new stories out from that. So anyway, they're kind of limping along into Revolution though. So I would like to see, some more direction with the women's division after that. Next up, we saw, Bryan Danielson come out to rings talking about his match with MJF, the 60-minute Iron Man match for the world title at Revolution. Let me ask you this. So MJF comes out, confronts him, and MJF is more or less, you can tell he's upset, and he talks about like the only thing he has going in his life right now is that world title. I guess his fiance dumped him, left him, and he's actually jealous of Bryan Danielson because Bryan Danielson is one of the best wrestlers ever. He's got a loving wife, beautiful family. He has everything that MJF wants. But the one thing MJF has over him is the world title. And so because of that, he's going to go to any extremes necessary to hold on to that title just because he knows that's like the one thing Bryan Danielson doesn't have. So what do you think about this new layer in the story? Ultimately it started when MJF took out William Regal, who we all know is Bryan Danielson's mentor. That's kind of the initial reason for this beef between the two. And then, MJF laid out this gauntlet of matches that Bryan Danielson must defeat all his opponents to earn a title shot, which he did. He beat everyone. Now he's the title match now. And now there's this new layer of emotion where MJF is jealous of Bryan Danielson and what he has in his personal life. I'm digging it because we've seen the gauntlet matches for so much now that MJF is used as a crutch for other feuds. But now this emotion, I think that's where it's the more compelling part, and you get more people involved, emotionally cared about this match. What did you think?
Yeah, I thought it was deep, really personal. Added, like you said, added multiple layers that the story I feel like needed. The one thing that concerns me though with them going this deep and adding this many layers is, and again, this is no knock on Bryan Danielson or MJF. They're both really good in the ring, but you got to bring it now, right? Like if I'm MJF, I'm going to do whatever it takes to keep this championship. And you got to make sure that this story that's being told in these promos leading up translates to the ring. And that's one thing that I've had an issue with AEW. I know a lot of people in told in the ring, but I feel like there's always something missing. That connection, right? That makes you go, right? Like everything that leaded up to this moment right here, this is it, right? I feel like I feel like they're so disconnected. You have the weekly buildup, and then you have the match, but the match doesn't match the weekly buildup, right? Like you care so much. We care so much about what MJF says in his promos, but his matches specifically don't really match up. The last few matches that he's had, the big matches, even the one with Punk, that was really good. I appreciate MJF's ability to evolve and just kind of elevate, right? Obviously elevating to the main event spot. I feel like if you're going to be a main eventer, you got to elevate into a main eventer. So I think he's done a great job. But when they get deep like this, it excites me, but then it concerns me because it's just like, well, now you got to deliver, right? Like this is personal. You know what I mean? This is definitely personal now. And, if I'm Danielson, I'm doing whatever it takes to take that championship. I'm not going to go out here and let MJF do me like that, right? Like I'm the dragon. And then if I'm MJF, I'm like, hey, I'm not gonna sit here and look. If I talk it, I walk it. That's what everybody says. He talks. Now he's got to deliver in the ring. So it was good. The whole girlfriend thing, to find out that was actually true. Yeah, that's bizarre. Like that's crazy. Like that's really, really personal, right? And it seemed very fresh. Like you said, he seemed very upset, very into it, right? And the whole time I'm thinking, man, he's so good. MJF, he's good, right? he gets you. And then to find out later, it's like, oh, she did leave him. Like, wow, like even the stuff he says, like, like if he didn't have the championship, he didn't at all, or something like that. Like that's deep, man. It's really, really deep.
Like he would just retire and get a bottle of pills wherever he said the exact quote. But, no, so I mean, I'm digging that part. It just like gets me a little bit emotionally connected. Then they did a big brawl and pulled everyone apart. So I'm definitely very interested for the main event here now. I'm looking forward to that. Real quick, I just want to say they had the Revolution Tag Team Battle Royal here. So the Roosh and Preston Vance, Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal, Lucha Brothers, Butcher and the Blade, Top Flight, Best Friends, Dark Orders, Silver and Reynolds, Aussie Open, Angelo Parker and Matt Menard from Jericho Appreciation Society, and Ari Daivari and Tony Nese. Ultimately, Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal are the winners of this.
Oh, boy.
Which I was like, why are they getting another title shot? Because now they're going to be part of the Fatal 4-Way to be added to the Fatal 4-Way for the... so the winning team will face AEW World Tag Team Champions, the Guns, and the Acclaim, and another team determined next week for Revolution. So a Fatal 4-Way for the tag titles. I'm like, you got all these other tag teams, and you pick these two guys who've already had a match. And, no offense to Jeff Jarrett and stuff. I love Jeff Jarrett, but it's like, try to help promote some of the younger talent that's been there. So,
and then again, Jarrett and Lethal to a team that ever since their loss, it's not like they've been on TV weekly, like winning matches either. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like they've been like just killing the tag division to kind of earn their way back into that spot. They haven't.
Yeah. So they got another opportunity again. So I don't know why they're getting so much love when I feel like some other teams need to be built up, because I feel like the tag team division has been kind of flat lately. So I hopefully make a rebuild. Who knows? I'm hopeful. Maybe we'll see FTR at Revolution as a big surprise or something. Maybe I'd love to see them. They make a comeback or something. So yeah, we'll see. Tony Khan had a massive announcement. So he's being interviewed by Renee, and then he says, you know what? I can't make this announcement. I need Adam Cole to say it for me. So Adam Cole just pretty much announced that beginning next month, there's going to be a weekly show called AEW All Access that will show more of the stories of the stars of AEW. And he said also that same night when that show will premiere, he's going to make his in-ring return. So, Brian, we'd love to get your thoughts on this. Me, I was a little underwhelmed with the announcement. I think we're so conditioned when we hear major announcement, big announcement. Is it like, is it like a new signee, a free agent signee? Is it like a TV announcement, TV deal announcement? Is it a pay-per-view? Something engaging in that sense. Instead, this is just announcing a reality show is going to air after Dynamite in the near future. Also, I was a little bummed because Adam Cole said the night that show premieres, he's going to make his in-ring return. And he said next month. So I'm like, so that means he's still not going to wrestle for a few weeks. Therefore, he's not going to wrestle at AEW Revolution. So we will not see Adam Cole wrestle in the Bay Area this coming week. So that's what I was more bummed about. What's your thoughts on it?
Yeah. I'm one who doesn't really have a problem with reality shows. Yes, I think and of course everyone defending, like, once the announcement actually got announced, people were like, well, they didn't actually say it was going to be a huge announcement. They just said it was going to be an important one. And I'm like, yeah, huge announcement, important, all the same thing, right? And while a reality show isn't necessarily important in some people's eyes, I feel like, it's cool for the talent to have something to do now other than just, because they don't really have much to do, right? They show up for Dynamite, record Rampage on nights where it's not live, right? So it's like, they kind of just work one day a week. I know they're ramping up and get ready to start doing house shows, right? So I don't know. This just adds for some more stuff for them to do. A lot of people are interested and have connections with a lot of the wrestlers, and so it'll be a cool show. I was a total Divas fan.
So I'm excited. Yeah, if this helped maybe add some more depth to these characters and maybe give us a reason to connect with them more. So if we tune in, that'd be kind of cool in that sense. So yeah, how like other reality shows do. So that'd be cool. And yeah, I can't wait for that slap fighting show to be done with instead. So it looks like this will replace that. So yeah, I can't wait for that show to be over and then let this take its place. I'd rather watch AEW All Access. All right, main event time. It was Jon Moxley taking on Dark Order's Evil Uno. Uno told Hangman, don't help me, stay in the back. The match here, pretty hard hitting, as we know from Mox. And I thought Mox was going to bleed during the match. No, he busted open Evil Uno, who's bleeding through that mask pretty heavily. Ultimately, Uno spiked Moxley with 2 pile drivers, but then Moxley came back and drove his elbow into Evil Uno's jaw. Moxley locked in the bulldog choke, and the ref stopped the match. But then Mox wouldn't let go, and then Sylvan Reynolds came out to help break it up. But then Yuta and Claudio came out as well. Hangman, Adam Page came down. Page wrapped some barbed wire around his fist to hit Jon Moxley. And then Page tried to attempt a buckshot Larry, but Moxley avoided it just in time, jump out of the ring. But then he's gushing blood as well. So it wouldn't be a Moxley match without some blood in this here. So ultimately, this match set up more for the feud for Hangman and Moxley here. So yeah, what'd you think of this main event and just and the build here for the match between the two of them?
Good, very Jon Moxley like. I've seen people on Twitter, saying put some respect on Evil Uno's name, and I'm just like, yeah, it'd be nice to see Evil Uno wrestle more, right? Yes. So this is another problem I think AEW has. I mean, we can even talk about on that Andretti kid, right? Like, they put so much spotlight on him, and then now all of a sudden it's just, it's kind of washing away. So it was a great match. I believe it was Moxley's his 100th win in AEW.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So, yeah.
That's cool. Stat padding for old Moxley. When is Moxley going to take a break? I felt he still hasn't taken his break, hasn't he?
No, not officially. I mean, at this point, it's probably not going to happen. But yeah, I know he I think he had a couple weeks off, but nothing long term, if I remember correctly. Well, no, I take it back. No, because he was doing a lot of matches on Rampage. So while he wasn't seen on Dynamite for a couple, I
was gonna say, and he choked Evil Uno out. He should have been disqualified.
Yeah, I mean, like, good for Evil Uno finally getting a main event match, but yeah, it's like why should we care if we hardly see the guy that often? I mean, I know him and Hangman, and that's the other thing too. I didn't realize is, I guess on Being the Elite, there's been like this story of Hangman trying to leave the Dark Order or break up with these guys. But instead, what we see, and if you watch Dynamite and Rampage, you're like, what's going on here? Why are they all acting awkward with each other? So that's something I wish they would just tell less major story beats on Being the Elite and save it for the actual main TV show. So anyway, that's just harumph in that point. So, yeah, that wraps up for Dynamite this week. Brian and I, we will be in the house for Dynamite this Wednesday at the Cow Palace. I think we should do like a review Finally, we do a review / predictions video for AEW podcast this week. So that'll be a lot of fun. So keep an eye out for that. On that note, let's start wrapping things up. Brian, where can the Kliqsters find you online?
Kliqsters, you guys can find me at BrianTronic on both Twitter and Instagram.
And I'm Baby Huey. Follow me on Facebook at Baby Huey Official, Twitter and Instagram at Baby Huey 83. For everything else, as always, just go to @In The Kliq on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Subscribe to us where we get your audio at, and email us anytime inthekliq@gmail.com. And on that note, let's go home. And that's the bottom line, because Huey said so.